Hi friends, welcome to practice. Today we're going to do a little feel-good flow and find some movement, some space in your side body and in your hips. So we're going to start in a seat with a little bit of breathing, some pranayama to begin. I like to sit on a block. You could always sit on a blanket, a cushion, a chair, whatever feels best for you. Any seat is a good seat. And then if it feels okay, shut your eyes down. You can also always find a steady gaze right at the tip of your nose or down on your cheekbones, something unwavering out in front of you. And take just a couple breaths to settle. You can slide your palms across your thighs and just bring a little awareness to that tactile sensation of touch connecting to your body, to your breath, to the heat and energy within you. And then eventually letting the hands rest once you find a good fit. Somewhere easy and simple. And take a nice big inhale all the way through your nose and into the very bottom of the diaphragm and the lungs as you expand. And then open your mouth, big audible exhale. Good, 2 more like that. Full breath in. Open mouth, full breath out. Last one to start. Breath in. Open the mouth, breath out. You'll start to seal your lips. And take 3 more breaths just like that, but that exhale starts to come through the nose, clearing out some stagnancy, make some room for the breath, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Continuing to breathe and just focusing on that exhale as you clear out some space in the channels, right? A little bit of spring cleaning, make room for the new. Right? When things start to feel stagnant, when they feel stuck or stuffy, what do? We open the windows, we throw open the blinds, and we let in a draft, we let in some air. So the same thing for your breath work here. Last one, breath in, through the nose, breath out. Blink your eyes open. Come off of your seat and come onto your hands and knees. You can slide any prop, anything you're sitting on aside. Bring your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And just start to move in a few circles, all the way around the wrists from the left hand to the right hand. Clockwise or counterclockwise. And keeping that breath going. So you'll start to find a rhythm. Go ahead and switch directions in the circles. And it may not be the same rhythm as me. That's okay. What matters is that you find a connection between your breath and your body, and that it's the breath that drives the movement, not so much the movement trying to control the breath. Good. Come back to center, and you're going to flip your right palm back. So you can make a big circle, even take your right arm all the way up and around like you're swimming, and then fingertips to face your right kneecap. And we'll take our cat and cow here. Again, use the breath to guide how far you go. Inhale, curl the chest out. Lift the tailbone, maybe reach to the throat. Exhale, push and round. Inhale, spread wide. Pull the heart out, spreading particularly in the right collarbone all the way from the center of the sternum to the right shoulder. Exhale, push and round. Last one. Inhale, reach out, cow pose. Right side, right lung expands. Exhale, push and round. Good, come back to neutral. Unwind the right arm, so big circle, right palm back to the earth, and go for the left side. Big backstroke, left fingertips face towards your kneecaps, and we'll take our cat and cow here again, 3 rounds. Inhale pulls you out. This time wing wide from the center of your chest out to the top of your left shoulder, that left collarbone getting longer. Exhale, push and round, chin to your chest, tailbone draws underneath. Inhale, expand, breathe underneath the left clavicle and expand. Exhale, push and round. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Good, this time you're going to do both hands. So big backstroke with the right arm to match the left. Press down into the heel of the hand and just notice if your hands have sort of teetered really close together, widen your stance out a little bit. So you're actually shoulder width distance. Press into the heel of the hand and then inhale, pull the collarbones out. Find a big stretch through the throat and the front of the chest, both sides this time. Exhale, push and round. 2 more. Inhale, widen from the sternum out to both shoulders. Exhale, push around. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Back to neutral. Unwind the hands, one and then the other. And sit back on the toes. Tuck both sets of toes underneath you. And sit back on the heels. Interlace your hands behind your back. Big breath in, reach the knuckles down, lift the chest and the heart. Think about sliding the thumbs further away from your low back, from your sacrum. Front of the chest widens. And shift your gaze just out in front of you, right about on the horizon. Find a level head. Easy breath, 2 more. Good. Release the arms. Bring the hands back to center. And then wiggle your knees a little bit wider and further back. Start to walk your hands forward out in front of you, puppy dog pose on a Hatasana. So you're going to drop the chest down towards the earth. And as you bow the heart down, fingertips walk out further and further and further. And maybe your chin gets to the mat, maybe your chest gets to the mat, but maybe not. Wherever you are is totally fine, but I want you to find some stretch in the shoulders. So there's this sense of melting your heart down between your shoulders, between the arms. And at the same time, maintain a rotation in the arm bones. So wrap your biceps up to the sky and spin your triceps down like you're closing off your armpits. 2 more breaths, butt high up in the air, and a little lift of your belly to support the low back. Good. With control, start to work your way back upright. And we're going to thread the needle. So similar shape, but a little bit of a twist and a little bit of side body here. So I'm going to scoot my right hand further forward. Inhale, open up through the left side, through the fingertips. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, left arm dives underneath the right armpit and drop your left ear to the mat or maybe your forehead. Walk the right hand further out in front of you and stretch long through the right side. Your hips can stay really high, or if it feels better to be towards child's pose, you can drop them back towards your heels. This might be plenty. You want a little more. That extended right arm might flip around towards your outer left hip. Give yourself 2 good breaths. Good. Right hand back to the earth. Press into it, and then left hand to meet. Second side. This time, right arm reaches up to the sky, spin and turn the chest. And then dive the right hand, the right arm underneath the left armpit and start to release either your right ear or maybe your forehead to the mat. Left arm walks out in front of you. Again, hips can stay up or down. You decide what feels most comfortable today. And then take the breath all the way around the outer hips into the low back. And then up towards that rotation right in the middle of your back around the rib cage and all the way up through the shoulder and the extended arm. 2 more good breaths. Maybe you take that bind. Left arm reaches around towards the right hip crease this time. Beautiful. Start to unravel. Left hand comes underneath. Press back up to your tabletop pose. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog is where we're going next. So find a little symmetry, right side, left side. Walk your feet back and bring more weight into your legs. So bend your knees and find some buoyancy and literally pull the weight out of your arms. Right? You're still pushing the hands down. So there's this sense of pushing the ground away in the top half and then pulling yourself further back in the latter half. Stretching out through the midsection, make yourself an inch taller. Keep those knees super bent today. Reaching and reaching and reaching. Imagine you could get more space between your hip creases and your armpits. Make your torso longer, more space between the vertebrae. 2 more breaths. Start to wake up the legs, wake up the arms. Good. On your next inhale, rise up onto the toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Roll your spine forward, high plank. Knees can always drop for a little more support. And then lower to your belly in one piece. Exhale. From your belly, slide your arms back behind you. Locust pose. Lift the feet, lift the arms like you're just skimming the earth. And then stretch the crown of the head forward, reach the toes back, and get longer again. 1 more breath. Beautiful. Exhale. Sit the hips back towards the heels. Child's pose. Keep the fingertips nice and long, though. Keep stretching the arms. This time, it's as if the arm bones were going to grow a little further and get taller. Find more space between your armpits and your wrists. Good, downward facing dog. From your down dog, right leg lifts to the sky, stretch it up to the ceiling, bend your knee, and take a few circles. Start to explore what exists in your hip today. Find some space. There might be some clicks, some pops, a little tension somewhere or other. And if you find a space that needs a little bit more lingering, feel free to stay there and just see what exists in there. Good. Keep circling with your right leg, but start to straighten your leg this time. And take big circles, extending the knee like you had a Sharpie between your toes and you were going to draw all over your room. And then go the other direction. Arms nice and strong to support you. Good, and then right leg up to the sky, right foot steps way to the outside of your right hand. Drop your back knee down and crawl your fingertips out further in front of you. So if the ground already feels really far away here, you can always slide a block or two underneath your hands. You can stay up higher. If you've got the space, you can certainly come down lower. But in this first round, it's not about getting to your most flexible place, nor is it really ever about that, right? But it's just about starting to see where the movement is and starting to inquire, right? So we have to start to notice, to pay attention. And it might feel better to have the knee down. It might feel better to have the knee up, right? Maybe give yourself permission to try both and then start to lean a little forward and a little back. Notice where you feel stable. Would it be better to turn your right toes further out to the right? Or wiggle your right foot further out to the right? Or closer in? Right, give yourself another 3 breaths to just experiment. Find some space. Good. Beautiful. Start to walk your hands back in line with your foot if they've gone further out. Come up off of your forearms. Tuck your back toes. And then pull both legs straight-ish towards a really long and wide pyramid pose. We're not going to be here for very long, but see if you can keep your left heel lifted just so you get a nice stretch in the back calf. And then walk your hands back and back and back and lengthen your chest out. Maybe a little bit or a lot of bit of bend stays in your right knee. One more breath. Good. Rebend your right knee. Plant your palms and step your right foot back to meet the left. Downward facing dog. With an inhale, roll forward, high plank. Exhale, lower to your bellies, all the way down. Inhale, locust pose, float the arms, float the legs, reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale, child's pose, curl the hips back. Nice breath in. Easy breath out. Good, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Bend your knee and open your hip. So same thing on the second side. Find some space in the left hip, and as you roll that ball around in the socket, just notice sometimes you hit a spot where you kind of can't get around it. There's a little bit of extra friction in there, so if you need to linger somewhere or hang out or explore that more, that's what we're starting to pay attention to. Good, arms still stay super strong. Keep making those circles, but start to straighten your left leg, point the toes, and then draw big circles all over the room. Finding every little nook and cranny, every piece of that joint. See if you can make your way into it. And then pause and go the other direction. Good. Next thing that's going to happen is that left foot circles and steps way up to the outside of your left hand. So into a really wide, low lunge here. And again, we're going to start to see what happens. So you might drop your right knee and walk the hands out further. You might add a block or two underneath your palms, bring the ground up to you a little bit. Or maybe just rocking forward and back. Find a little movement. Letting go of any of that stagnancy that's stuck in your body, your hips, your breath. And movement can do the trick here. But you got to find the right spot. Right? You got to feel like you can move, like you've got the ground underneath you. So maybe that means left foot a little wider or left toe turn out. Right? Experiment until you find that sweet spot. Couple more good breaths. Beautiful. Start to come back to center. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Tuck both toes. And as you pull your hips back, you're going to come into that long pyramid pose. So your back heel isn't trying to find the ground. Don't worry about that. Let the stretch go all the way through the sole of the foot, into the Achilles and the calves. And then as the hips scoop back and underneath you, there's going to be some rounding in your back. Don't worry so much about it. I just want you to find some space here. Maybe it's more bending in your left knee so that you can just start to lengthen the chest forward and bow to the inside of your left leg. 3 more good breaths. Good, hands come back down to the earth, back underneath your shoulders, and then left foot steps back to meet the right, downward facing dog, big bend in the knees. Roll the spine forward, high plank. Exhale, lower to your belly. Inhale, rise up, locust pose. Exhale, child's pose, knees to the earth, hips back to the heels. Take a breath in. Open the mouth, take a breath out. Good, downward facing dog. And explore a little bit more. Right leg lifts to the sky. Right away, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. And drop your back knee. Reach the collarbones out wide. Take an inhale. Exhale, pull the hips back and underneath you. Bow towards the center. Good. This time with your inhale, rebend your right knee. You're in a really wide stance here, so the balance might be a little funky. Find your way all the way upright into a lunge. Arms can go up to the sky or hands at heart center. But start to move a little forward and back here again and just notice. Are you pushing all your weight to the left, all your weight to the right? Can you find that sweet spot in the middle, knit the front ribs towards one another and draw the inner thighs towards one another? And then once you feel like you've found some middle point here, draw everything towards the center, up nice and tall through the crown of the head. Take 1 more breath. Good. Exhale, hands to the mat, right foot to meet the left. Inhale, roll forward, high plank. Exhale, lower to your belly. Inhale, rise up, locust pose. And this time as you hover the body, swim the arms forward, stretch through the fingertips and the toes, same time. Exhale, child's pose. Hips back towards the heels. Downward facing dog. Lift the hips. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Left foot, step foot to the outside of the left hand. Drop your right knee and pull your collarbones out wide. So think about the cow pose we started with. Find some space. Exhale, pull the hips back and underneath you. Reach towards the center, the inseam of the leg. Now rebend your left knee. You're going to be wide, maybe even off your mat, and come all the way up to a high lunge. Arms to the sky or hands to heart center. And start to move a little forward, a little back. Shift the pressure from the left foot to the right foot, inner foot to outer foot, big toe to pinky toe, until you find a little sweet spot in between where you feel like you can kind of wrap everything to the center and then pull it up through the middle, stand up tall but sink the hips low, find your balance. Let's say 2 or 3 more breaths. Good, last one in. And out, hands to the earth, left foot steps back to meet the right. Right away, roll forward, high plank. Exhale, lower to your belly. Inhale, arms swim forward right away, locust pose, extend through the fingertips. Exhale, child's pose, hips back towards your heels. Good, downward facing dog. From your down dog, right leg lifts to the sky. Right foot steps to the outside of your right hand. So same place you've been before. This time drop your back knee. Keep your left hand on the earth or slide a block underneath if you need the ground to come up to you. You need a little longer arms for today. And then backstroke, right arm all the way behind you. You're going to bend your left knee and try to catch the top of your left foot. So I like to catch on the pinky toe side personally, and that means that your thumb is going to be facing up to the sky. You can roll your right shoulder onto your back and turn the chest towards your inner right thigh. Reach through the crown of the head. And you can let the weight kind of move forward towards the inside of your right leg. Right knee might even splay out just a little bit, but turn the foot so it's in line with the knee, in line with the hip. And then breathe. Broaden the collarbones. And shift the breath up a little higher and wider. Top of the lungs, top of the chest. And keep lengthening the underside of your left waist and the left hip. 2 more breaths. Good. Gently with control, release your left foot, right hand to the earth, and start to straighten your right leg. Pull the hips back and underneath you. So I like to sit this one all the way back. So sit your butt towards your left heel. You might even be sitting on your left foot. And then keep the right leg out on this little bit of diagonal, right? Oftentimes we'll move it perfectly down the middle, but give yourself a little more space, keep it where it landed, and start to reach the fingertips and the collarbones out wide. So this might feel good. You can keep your hands kind of at 10 and 2, widen things out, bow forward. Or if you want a little bit more exploration, you can walk your hands and your rib cage right over your right thigh, like you're trying to literally crack your ribs in half with that thigh bone up the middle. You could walk them even further and come across your leg. Or go the other direction, right? So give yourself permission to experiment in your practice today. Find some space, a little curiosity. 3 more breaths. Good, start to rebend your right knee. Plant your palms. Right leg up and back, straight through the back of the leg. Straighten the right leg up to the sky. Bend your left knee and then reach the right leg a little higher. And then bend your left knee more and reach the right leg a little higher. Good, now bend your right knee and lower your left forearm to the mat. So you're a little off kilter here. You're gonna turn and open the hips and take a peek underneath your right armpit, stretching the top of the right thigh. Keep pressing the ground away for 3. Good for 2. On 1, release, lift the left forearm, right foot to the earth, just downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Good, second side, left leg lifts. And then left foot steps to the outside of your left hand. Drop your right knee and we'll take that backstroke again and catch the back foot. So left arm comes all the way around and catch the pinky toe side of the right foot. Lean the heart and the thigh forward. So a little weight into your right thigh. Reach it towards the earth so you get off of your kneecap because it doesn't feel so hot when you're on your kneecap. Bring a little bit of weight forward, even though it's mentally scary. It'll physically feel better when you get some space there. You can always add padding as well. And then slide the breath up underneath the collarbones as you lift your chest, roll your left shoulder onto your back, and maybe turn your gaze. Right, where you breathe here is really important because there's not much room in your belly, right? When we're twisting and moving from the thoracic spine, rotating at the rib cage, we got to move the breath and the air up a little higher. So can you breathe across the upper back, underneath the collarbones? All these places you've already cleared out some space. You've already sort of excavated in there. So breathe into that newfound freedom. 2 more rounds. Good, release your back foot. Front leg, left leg goes straight, and work your hips all the way back towards the right heel, maybe even sitting on the foot. And then collarbones reach out wide, tailbone flicks back towards the back of the mat, and hands spread towards 10 and 2 as you fold forward, starting here, and then deciding if you want to go somewhere else. Possibly walking the hands over to split the difference on your left leg, or even further for a little bit of a twist. A little bit more stretch through the right side body. Or all the way over towards the right. A little bit more of a lateral stretch on the left side body. Last 2 breaths. Good, start to rebend your left knee. Plant your palms, left leg up to the sky. Keep that left leg straight though. Reach up through the toes. Inhale. Bend your right knee. Exhale. Keep that right knee bent. Lift a little higher through the left leg. Bend that right knee again. 1 more, a little bit deeper, and reach the left leg higher. And then drop right forearm to the ground. Bend your left knee and start to peek underneath your left armpit. So it's the opposite arm down as the leg lifted. Turn the chest. As you lift your gaze, keep stretching your left knee up to the sky and squeezing the heel towards your butt for 3. Good for 2. And 1 with control. Back to downward facing dog. Right shin comes forward. We're going to come into deer pose. So not all the way into pigeon unless you really want pigeon, in which case, don't let me stop you. But it can be nice to come into a little softer variation, right? You already stretched out a bunch of the quads, so If you've got the space for pigeon, go for it, but I prefer this variation for especially a shorter practice. And you're going to bring the sole of your right foot towards the right thigh. They kind of meet, right? They kind of fit together. And then sit up nice and tall. Flick the tailbone and the pelvis back like you're sticking your butt out. Sit up here, take a breath in. You can stay. Or start to walk your hands forward all the way over the right shin. And just give yourself 5 breaths here. Start to slow it down a little bit. And you can stay right up the middle, or a la everything else we've done today. You can explore. And it might be nice to take it towards a little side version of deer. So instead of being over the right shin, you'd be over the right thigh, turning the chest. You might go the opposite direction and see what that does. And spinning and opening up through the side ribs and the lungs. Wherever you choose, feel free to keep moving and inching little by little, just sort of hunting for the sensation that works for you today, right? Whether it's a lot or little or somewhere in between. Keep the breath as part of the equation and use the breath to amplify the sensation just as much as you want or need it to. Last couple rounds. Good. Start to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Now, you can go back to downward facing dog and then bring the opposite shin forward. Usually at this point in practice, I'm pretty over downward facing dog, so I just like to switch my legs. Right? Left shin comes in front of the right. And same thing, a little marriage between the sole, the arch of the left foot, and the knee on the right foot. And you can stay here, sit up nice and tall. You can always slide a blanket underneath your pelvis, your hips, if you need more height. And then slowly start to reach forward, forward, forward. Walking the hands out, maybe lowering the forearms, or adding any prop underneath. Find a shape here that works. Catch your breath first. And then decide if there's somewhere else that you'd rather be. You might walk hands to the left. If you find the version of side deer, put a little bit more awareness into the right side, all the way down into the hip. And so that whichever way you start to angle things, right, because the hips are anchored down, you're going to get a different kind of stretch through the low back, the side body, maybe even all the way up into the shoulders and the arms and the neck. Which is the really nice part about this sort of exploratory nature of a practice like this, is that we can all do the same pose, but it's going to feel different for everyone. And realistically, it could feel different every time you do it, depending on what angle you approach it from. So adding that element of inquiry can take a pose you've done 10 trillion times and make it feel new. Last couple breaths. Start to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. And just lean back and bring your right leg around and cross it in front of your left. So find Sukhasana, crossing at the shins, and flexing the feet underneath. And bring your hands to your kneecaps. Pull your heart out. So literally pull on the knees to bring the chest through. Lift the gaze towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in. Go the other direction, round your back. Pull away from your knees. Tuck the tailbone under, chin to your chest. Exhale, push all the air out. 2 more, easy and spacious. Inhale, big breath. Exhale, push and round. Last one, inhale. Exhale, empty everything out. Good, easy breath, come back to neutral. Shut the eyes down or find a steady gaze. And flip the palms up to the sky now. Release the grip on your knees. See if you can find a sweet spot in between the cat and the cow. Find that neutral, natural curves of the spine. Slide the side waist back. Reach up through the crown of the head. Ears stack over shoulders, stack over hips. And bring the 2 halves back together. Slide the hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Last collective breath in together through the nose. This time, open the mouth, H-A. Slide your palms over your heart. Bring that energy back in and give yourself a moment of gratitude for your breath, your body, your practice, the ability to come to your mat and show up, because it's usually the hardest part. If you have the time, you might sit and breathe or lie down on your back and find Shavasana. Closing your practice however feels best today. And I will see you on the mat next time. Thank you.